Are you showcasing your assets to employer in job interviews? Do you highlight your greatest strengths, expertise, accomplishments, and unique value with confidence? Do you ever take a step further in sharing the benefits of hiring you? If not, then you're probably undervaluing, underselling, or underrepresenting yourself. And this could hinder you in getting the promotion or the job offer. All right, just let me fix something here first. If you're wondering how to effectively communicate you're the best candidate for the job, then today's training on how to pitch yourself confidently in interviews is for you. Hello and welcome to the Dare to Differentiate show. The purpose of this show is to help you own your voice, value, and visibility with confidence. Whether you're tuning in live or watching the replay, I am so delighted that you are here. Comment to let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Yes, I know the slides were backwards. I'm going to see if I can fix it quickly here. No problem. Thanks for letting me know. If you are new to my training, I want to welcome you. Type in new. If you have been coming to my live streams and my training here, type in a big fan. I know we have a big audience today. The last 24 hours, we've doubled our registration here. So just want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm your host, Diana YK Chan, LinkedIn top voice and founder of My Markability, where I help you stand out, get hired, and earn more. All right, so I want to quickly share with you some client wins with regards to related to job interviews and confidently selling yourself here. Some of my proud client wins lately are, the first one recently was a PhD new grad client who aced his first ever interview, a corporate job interview. He landed his first ever corporate job as a manager of forecasting models at a top bank with a six-figure salary within 1 month of working together. Super proud of him. One of the things that we did really quickly within this month was, number one, is elevate his resume to make it more accomplishments and results oriented, and really tailored it to the corporate world, turning an academic resume to a really business oriented resume there. And we really honed in terms of his pitch, his unique selling points, his unique value proposition, and how to present confidently on camera. My second win is a repeat client who secured a permanent role as a privacy program manager at a big tech company within 6 months in her contract job. She received a $10K signing bonus with equity and an increased salary by $23,000, which is amazing. So essentially, she landed the new job, pivoting from the government sector, public sector, and then moved into big tech into a contract role. And then within 6 months, got another promotion. So that incremental salary increase was huge. And we really honed in. A lot of it was managing her anxiety and fears in pitching herself, because she was nervous. Like, am I really ready to go for a permanent job and to go for a next level opportunity? And so we really honed in on that. And I remember we really worked on overcoming her fears and anxiety because she was really stressed for this interview and was also moving during that time there. My third proud client win is a newcomer client all the way from Kenya who moved to Canada, who made a huge, big career pivot from retail banking and landed a job as a client success manager role in the HR software industry within 4 months of working together through an online job application. So we really overhauled essentially his messaging, his LinkedIn resume, and then ultimately practicing for the interviews to help him be more confident in selling himself effectively. So these are some of my recent client wins that I'm really proud of with regards to interviews there. I see many of you. I just want to say a quick hello. Let me just say a quick hello. If you are looking for any career job search and transition support, feel free to book a call with me. Happy to have a quick chat there. Make sure to follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. And let me just check in with everyone here. All right, we have a lot of you, 60 plus of you here on LinkedIn, which is amazing. And then some of you are on YouTube as well. That's great. All right. Hey, Lizzie, who's new here, welcome. Let me see who else is here. Gloria from Tanzania. Wow, that's amazing. Juliana from Nigeria. Awesome. Johan, amazing. Hashtag go Diana. Thank you so much for being here and your constant support. You rock. Amazing, amazing. All right. We really have an international audience here. Leslie, hey, great to see you as well. Hi, Kyra. You're new here. Oh, wow, we have from Belgium as well. Marcus on YouTube, thank you. Paul, Laura, all right, great seeing you. So we have a lot of new folks here. That's amazing to hear that. Okay, so here is the agenda for today. I'm going to be covering first is about a little bit about me. I'm actually going to pitch my own career story to demo it to you of some of the techniques that you can apply on pitching yourself. Okay, so I'm going to do that as part one. And then part two is I'm going to share with you 12 types of stories to tell, because oftentimes we're like, people are telling me I'm not sure what type of stories to tell that would effectively sell myself. So I'm going to share with you the different types of stories to think about. And then lastly, the part three of my training is really I'm going to share with you 11 pitching yourself with confidence strategies. And I'm going to walk you through examples as well. And then I'm also happy to answer your questions in Q&A there. Okay. If you're excited and you're here, type in a +1. Let me know that you're here, that you're excited. Okay. All right. So I know we had a little bit of a tech glitch here. It was showing backwards. I am not sure why, but I do have a backup plan of showing my slides here. I'm just going to check on something before I go to my backup plan to see if this works here, because I never had this before. I don't know what we did to. Okay, let me just check on one thing. If this changes, the camera, mirror the camera mode. Let me just check this with you all before I go into my backup plan. Okay. Okay, I think I know why. I think I know why. Oh, I just fixed it. I think so. Let me just check. I think it worked. Mirroring camera fixed. Is it showing correctly here right now, guys? Tell me, tell me. Okay. I think it was the mirroring camera. Okay. It's good. We fixed it. It's good. Okay. My assistant Jan said it is good. It's working. Okay. I knew this worked before. It was the mirroring camera setting that we had. Awesome. Okay. It is showing correctly the right way. It's no longer backwards there. I'm so glad. I worked so hard on this training today. So I'm glad that it looks good. All right. Thank you. Thanks, David. Okay. Awesome. We are good. We are back on track, on schedule here. Okay. So this training is going to be about 75 to 90 minutes long. It's a bit longer because it is a training session here. I want to really engage with you. So please click like, comment anytime, share your thoughts, key learnings, ask questions. I will be having time for questions down later on of the training as well, but ask me throughout, acknowledge and let me know what your takeaway here as well. Okay, so shout out to my assistant, Jandale Carlo Catalonia in Philippines, who's supporting me in the chat room here and engaging with you all. Okay, so let's dive into this training, shall we? Okay. All right, so here's my agenda that I talked about. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share with you my career story. I'm going to come from a standpoint if I had to pitch myself, or let's just say an opportunity here, and it's going to be a little bit more in depth so that you can learn some techniques. And then at the end, I'm going to want to ask you, what's your impression? What was your learning from it? What did you learn from this? And what are some of the techniques I used? Okay, so if you're ready, type in ready here. I'm going to do a little demo. I rarely do this, but I figured, why not showcase an example since we're on this topic of pitching yourself effectively here. Okay. Oh, amazing. We have 75 plus of you here on LinkedIn right now. Okay. So let me go through this pitch. I really do this here. All right. Let's have some fun together. So I'm a former recruiter turned executive career coach, speaker, and trainer at My Marketability. I'm also a LinkedIn learning instructor with a course called Presenting with Confidence with over 6,000 learners with a 4.7 star rating. I've been recognized as LinkedIn Top Voice of 2022 and Top 10 Job Search Experts to follow on LinkedIn. I've been featured in Forbes, LinkedIn, HuffPost, JobScan, and various podcasts and live streams. I've served thousands of people globally, from new grads to C-level clients in diverse industries and professions since 2011. I have a track record of success in helping clients get hired into top companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, LinkedIn, Deloitte, and many, many more, and helping them earning 5 to 6 figures more. I've been known for helping clients pivot careers, switch industries, and reach next level roles. Some of my proud career highlights. I want to share with you my 3 highlights. The first is this year becoming a LinkedIn learning instructor where I can help thousands of more people. Second is being a guest speaker on the LinkedIn Get Hire show 3 times in 2 years. One of my recent really highlight was actually going to the LinkedIn office in New York at the Empire State Building, where I got to meet the host, Andrew Seaman, live to have the interview where I talked about networking. And lastly, my third proud career highlight is really being a speaker for the UN 5 times this year in 1 year. All right, some other personal stuff about me is that my mission is to really help people reach their full potential by helping them own their greatness with confidence to shine. My superpower is that I'm known for helping you to connect the dots and differentiate your unique value. And lastly, my mission is to really help ambitious leaders to gain career clarity, confidence, and a competitive edge so that they get more opportunities and earn more. I believe that I can help you advance your career. All right, so let's do a little debrief here. What was your impression? What did you learn? What were some of the techniques used? Hey, type in the comment to engage with me, okay? Because I can't hear any of you here, but type in the comment to let me know. I did a variety of things in this pitch here to showcase different techniques. So I want to hear from you. What was your impression, what you learned from this here? All right, let me just give a moment to folks here. Let me see what the comments are coming in. Oh, what did you learn from this pitch? Oh, wow, we have over 80 people on LinkedIn joining live. All right, so Camille, oh, hey, great seeing you here. My superpower, awesome. Raheem said, very concise bullet points. Get the interviewer to ask more questions. Yes, this is like piquing curiosity. Hey, Raheem, great seeing you. Long time no chat. 3 key highlights. That's a big technique I always talk about is your top 3 key highlights there. Mark said, you're very specific with numbers, companies, and details. Yes, specificity is key. At times there, when you do some name dropping, you can also add credibility. Amazing. David said here that you came from a recruiter background, but supercharge it to help clients with amazing what is it? I hope the chat's going so fast right now. With amazing super posts. Yes. Tanya said clear and concise. Okay. Yes. Okay. You asked, however, if the interviewers have our CV, how do we ensure not to repeat ourselves? You know what? You want to repeat yourself. You want to reinforce your message. The way someone reads your CV, it's not the way of how they listen to it. And don't ever assume that they read your CV. Even if though they have, it doesn't necessarily mean they've retained it or they understand it. So it's totally okay. And one of the strategies I'm going to teach you is you want to reinforce your message over and over again. Yes. Confidence. Yes, Deanna said, I think that you were confident in what you have, your goals, things that you can do, and you delivered it. Yes. So part of it, confidence piece we're going to talk about is being certain and assertive of what you bring to the table here, and being proud of what you have to offer. Okay. So that's part of the confidence piece. Amazing. All right. Floyd said you gave a very thorough yet concise overview of your background, expertise, and what you can do. Your superpower. Amazing. Okay, you guys are picking a lot of things already. I probably don't need to do the training here. No, but this is good. I'm so glad I decided to do this demo so that you are understanding some of the techniques used. It's really going to help you think of your intro. Obviously, you don't need to incorporate everything that I just did here, or I specifically did it more thoroughly so that you can think of, oh, these are things I can incorporate. For example, my proud highlights or my superpower or my mission. You don't have to do that. It's just a way of different things that you can think about there. Most people, when they talk about tell me about yourself, they go through entire career history. And it's not necessarily relevant to what they're applying for, or they don't talk about what they're really good at, what they're known for, or the proud career highlights. They'll just talk about these are things I've done, here are my responsibilities, here are my skill sets. So you really want to package it in a way that gives credibility, that sounds impressive and sounds interesting for them to probe further. That really sets the stage and tone of your interview there. Awesome. All right, this is so great. I love seeing so many of you participating in the comments here. Amazing. Okay, so let's move on to the next piece here is that let me ask you, do you tend to undervalue or undersell or underrepresent yourself? Do you tend to do that? If you do, type in a +1. I find this is quite common, especially when I work with clients who need help with positioning themselves for success, pitching themselves for interviews. A big part is how you see yourself. Do you undervalue, undersell, or underrepresent yourself? Okay, if you do, this could be hindering you in terms of getting that promotion or getting that job offer there. Okay. And it's totally okay. A big part is we're going to shift in how you see yourself. Okay. I see a lot of +1s, and it probably could be how we're raised. I'm going to tell you something. I'm originally from Hong Kong, grew up in a very traditional Asian culture where humbleness is a very core value. And I was always told that I'm not smart enough or whatever I achieved was not good enough. And so I would always dismiss or devalue things that I've done. And really, honestly, the first 20 years was like that. It wasn't until I became a coach to really learn the importance of not underselling or undervaluing myself there. So a lot of it's probably could be our upbringing that could have an impact on that there. So what I'm trying to say is that confidence is not necessarily a born trait. You can really work at it, you can improve it. And a big part, it's going to be how you see yourself there. Okay. So let me ask you, what holds you back when it comes to pitching yourself? Okay. I'm going to share with you some reasons and let me know in the comments which are these 5 reasons here. Common struggles I hear from my clients and people that I work with. Number 1, feeling you're coming across as too boastful or arrogant. Number 2, you believe that my work and results should speak for themselves so that you can get recognized for next level opportunities. Or number 3, you're worried about what others think when you pitch yourself. Number 4, you have a fear of standing out. And number 5 is imposter syndrome, feeling that you're a fraud or not good enough there. Which of these reasons here? It could be give me your main reason of the struggles you have when it comes to pitching yourself. Type in the comment to let me know. Yes. Paul just shared that you brought up in Hong Kong. Amazing. Okay. Yeah. David said you can relate to that. All right. So let me see what the comments coming in. What do you struggle with? Rebecca said number 3, worried about what others think. This is a very, very common one. Okay. That I hear. What will others think? And then 5th, imposter syndrome. Laura said 5 as well, the imposter syndrome. Okay, a lot of 5 imposter syndromes. By the way, I am running a live stream show next week. The topic is on how to overcome imposter syndrome with my guest speaker, Melody Wilding. And we're going to talk about this topic. She's a best-selling author of Trust Yourself, an expert in imposter syndrome. So stay tuned for that one. Okay. Abby said 1, 3, and 5 coming across boastful, worried what others think, imposter syndrome. Okay. So sounds like a lot of you can relate to this. Right. And it's okay. First step is awareness, recognizing why we struggle with it and how we need to tweak it. Okay. Awesome. Lots of comments coming in. Oh my goodness. Almost 100 people right now on LinkedIn tuning live. So here is my tip for you is that we need to really change our mindset, really change the way we see ourselves or think about ourselves. Instead of thinking of that we're selling ourselves, right? A lot of times we feel like the word with selling, it's kind of icky or awkward. Think of how you are serving others instead. Think of how you are serving like the employer, the team, how you're helping them versus selling, right? Because selling may have a feeling that, oh, this is too much. And so this was a big shift for me. Like when I had to learn to really sell, when I was in the role, I was in a recruitment manager for an MBA, executive MBA program, like pitching a $100,000 program. And I really thought I had to shift my mindset because I thought it was hard to sell that expensive of a program. And I thought about how am I servicing or serving the clients by, coming to this school. And when I took it from that approach, I came from a more curiosity mindset of how the program can help them or how I can help them there. Okay, so this is the same when you're going for an interview, right? When you think of you need to sell yourself or pitch yourself, it's like, hey, how would the employer benefit from your knowledge, skills, experience, and expertise? How are you helping them? How are you serving them? right? And you think from that mindset, then it's easier to talk about your accomplishments and your results there. Okay, so that's a key piece. It's really shifting that mindset of how you see yourself. Yesterday, I was talking to a client, and she is an amazing senior project manager. She's been in an acting role actually at the director level as well when her manager was away. And one of the comments she mentioned was that oftentimes she'll get feedback from her colleagues that um, that she basically underrepresents herself, that they didn't realize how good she was until much later. So the perception of her originally when they meet her is that she's not that strong until months later that she's actually teaching everyone how to do certain things. And the challenge she told me is really how she saw herself, meaning that don't feel good enough or what she does is really impressive. And we really talked about this whole mindset shift of instead of feeling that you need to sell, think of how you are serving there. Okay. Yes, Johan says service or solution mindset as opposed to sales. Okay, love it. Amazing. Okay, I'm really big on affirmations as I really believe you subconsciously plant into your mind of how you show up. So one of my favorite affirmations I like to say is I am MVP, meaning I am markable, valuable, and proud. Right? And this is something you can do before an interview. You can really talk about I am MVP, say it 3 to 5 times and have this movement. Use your hands, right? Say that I am MVP. I'm excited for this opportunity. I'm excited to meet the interviewer. And naturally, you're going to appear more confident and people are going to feel that confident in you as well. Okay, so type in the comment, I am MVP. I'm excited for an interview opportunity. When you do that, naturally, you're going to amplify the energy. Okay. And even today, I decided to stand up to deliver this talk because I know naturally I'm going to sound more confident, even though I'm under the weather. But because I'm standing, I feel more powerful as well. So for those of you who have, let's say, virtual interviews or you're on the phone, one of the hack is that if you're not feeling that confident, stand up to talk. You're going to sound more powerful there. Okay. Yes, I am MVP. Type that in. Okay, I actually create these phone screen affirmations for my clients before an interview. I'll send it to them so that they have something to anchor. If they ever get thrown off for an interview, remind themselves, I am MVP. Okay, awesome. Great to see that. Awesome. All right, more if you're tuning in, welcome to this training on how to pitch yourself confidently in interviews. I'm going to be walking you through next stories to tell in an interview and also 11 confidence strategies in pitching yourself confidently. Okay, let's dive into this. The 12 type of stories to tell in interviews. Everyone on this live is MVP. Yes, yes. Thank you, Johan. Amazing. Awesome. Okay, so oftentimes an exercise I love doing with clients is really thinking about the stories they want to tell in an interview, right? Because the story is really the proof, right? The story is the proof, and it helps people to visualize, connect of what you've done, whether it's relevant and whether it matters to the job. So you really want to be strategic in telling your stories that make sense to the job that you're going for, right? Be intentional about that. That's something I really like to do with my clients. And so I want to offer you a checklist of stories to think about. Okay, so this is going to be like your checklist when you're preparing for an interview. Okay, I like to think of highs and lows. The reason being is that when you think of it in an interview, interviewers want to know about those highs and lows. Okay, so what I mean by that, it could be good experience, bad experience, right? Because you can always learn from it. Good experience, bad experience in terms of what you enjoy, what don't you enjoy. A second is your wins and successes versus your lost and failures, right? So the wins and successes could be the proud accomplishments where people can really learn like a lot about your superpower, your value, what you excel at, what you're proud of. The loss and failures is also great because you can also learn a lot from there and grow from there. I know companies like Amazon, AWS, they love asking questions around failures or things that did not work out because especially in tech startups or tech companies, a lot of times things don't necessarily work out the first time, but you can learn from those experiences. Okay, so think of that, the wins and successes versus lost and failures. Okay, and then you can take different angles to think about how to tell your story, but what did you learn from it? Okay, more importantly is what did you learn from it? Next is to think about possibilities versus problems. So this goes back to, right, around possibilities in terms of like opportunities, what's out there. This really showcases more of that innovation, creativity, right? Forward thinking type of mindset. Problems is also showcasing your ability to troubleshoot, critical thinking skills, how you fight fires, things like that. Like there certain jobs require that, right? And so you want to think about those things there, the contrast. You want to think about collaboration versus conflict example. Guarantee you're going to get something like this, right? If you're in a job that you require to work with people, cross-functional teams, guarantee you're going to get some sort of question related to collaboration, teamwork, communication. And then they also want to know, when things don't work out, when there is a conflict, what do you do? Now, what's interesting is I often hear from clients say to me, well, I've never really faced a conflict situation, or I tend to avoid conflict. So I'm not sure what kind of example to share. So one of the things I want to offer is that instead of thinking about conflict, because for some reason I think that word could be so strong for people, is think of misalignment, misunderstanding, or miscommunication. That could tie into a conflict, meaning when there's just some friction, right? So the tension or things that did not work out is actually a conflict. So I think a lot of times when they think conflict, they think it has to be a big problem that they had a fight or an argument to be a conflict. It doesn't have to be that way. It could be just a misunderstanding, and that caused a conflict or caused a deadline, a missed deadline. There. Okay, so that's something I want to challenge you to think about. And I want to ask you, any of you struggle with coming up with conflict situations, right? It could be as an example where, you communicated something and someone misunderstood it. As a result, they did not deliver what you wanted. That could be a conflict, right? Because part of it is a communication problem there, okay? Okay, so the next is a time when you met a deadline and versus a delay. Okay, this is pretty common for those who are in project type of roles where you need to manage teams, right? So meeting a deadline, it shows around time management, organization skills, resource management, and then a time when you did not meet a deadline, right? Where there's a delay. It could be because of a very big project, miscalculation. There's so many angles that you can take there. All right, and then it is strengths versus weakness. This is pretty common as well, that employers want to know, what are you really good at and what are you not good at, or in terms of opportunities for growth and development. Okay, so let me ask you, out of these here, like which one you really want to work on? When you think of these type of stories, which ones you really want to think about or you never thought about, right? Just type in, let me know in this chat of what is it that you really want to work on here, okay? If you take the time to do this, you're going to have essentially like a dozen stories or examples to talk about. Now, one of the key things that I've been talking about a lot, because I've been doing a lot of interview coaching lately, is that the story in itself is important. However, you want to be specific and avoid irrelevant details. So this helps you avoid rambling or going off tangent. This is pretty common I see with clients I work with. And so the key strategy here is you want to connect the dots. Connect the dots of how this story is relevant back to the job and what you've learned from this story there. So I'll give you an example around connecting the dots. I was just working with a client on the weekend who is a pharmaceutical regional sales manager managing a large team there. And one of the stories, he actually had many stories to share with me. One of the stories, because it's a people manager role, then obviously we need to come up with examples, a lot of examples around managing people. And the example he shared was how he created a report. They call it a growth and decline report that made it easier for his sales reps to receive, to do their job better. That was the example that he shared, making the report easier accessible for his sales rep because they're on the road a lot. I was like, okay, that's great. That's an okay story, right? To take it to the next level, to make it, wow, I probe further. Like, what's really the true impact to this story, right? So as I probe further, the true impact of this story was it actually saved the sales reps time to log in, access the report because they're on the road. They saved them time. So therefore, that meant it gave them more time, face time with the customers that they were meeting. And it also gave them more time to make phone calls per day. And as a result, because I was probing further here, so what does that really mean? If they can make more phone calls per day, how many phone calls are we talking about here in every quarter? Because our sales are on a quarterly basis. It actually resulted in over 1,300 or 1,000 plus phone calls per quarter, which meant that his team closed more deals, which meant that they increased the sales for the company. And as a result, him and his team led to winning President's Club Winner Award consecutive years. Now that story is more impressive, right? What's resonating with you here, this kind of story? Hey, so at first it was like, oh, I created a report that's, help them make it more accessible. It's nice, but then if you can say, well, I made it more accessible, that saved time, that led to more deals, more sales, and winning the President's Club Award. That's showcasing performance, productivity, and high potential, high impact. Okay, so one of the things I want you to take away when it comes to storytelling is don't just tell the story without making a point. This is one of the key lessons I've really learned recently around, like, never tell a story without making a point. Never make a point without telling a story, right? The story is the backup, the proof, the evidence to make the point of what you're trying to say or what you're trying to sell. So if you're trying to sell that you are a high performer with high potential, that's just a claim, right? If you're saying that I'm a high performer, that's a claim. The proof is really the story in itself. The so what is the impact statement, which is the results. Okay, so is that clear? Okay, I just want to be very clear. If someone wants to type this in, is that you want to give, there's the claim, right? In terms of what are you claiming that you're being a high performer? The proof, which is really the story, the impact, which is really the so what, okay, the story. That's how you're going to tell a great story in an interview. Especially, I usually recommend 2 to 3 minutes long for a question there. Okay, that's how you're going to stand out. So the common mistake I do see people make in the storytelling is they go into irrelevant details where the audience is lost. What's the point you're trying to make here? What are you trying to tell? Don't make them guess of what you're trying to say. Like, what's the point of the story? Okay, so that quote, if someone wants to type it in, is never tell a story without making a point. Never make a point without telling a story. Okay, if this is resonating, type in a +1 because I'm going to move into the next phase of our training here. All right, welcome to this training on how to pitch yourself confidently in interviews. I just covered the 12 types of stories to tell, and now I'm going to move on to the next phase here on 11 pitching yourself with confidence strategies. Okay, so some context of this is I actually created this particular part of the training back in February, where I was invited to give a talk to the UN for the first time on how to pitch yourself with confidence. And so I created this brand new talk. It was for International Women's Day. It was tailored to a female audience. And little did I know, this training was a huge success. Over 350 people attended globally, and the engagement was crazy. It was just so much in the chat room happening there. And they invited me back for another talk a month later on how to build trust and rapport in interviews. And this talk also led for me becoming a LinkedIn learning instructor, where I tweaked it on from pitching with confidence to presenting with confidence, with a focus on public speaking and presentations. So that's a little backstory of this part of this training that I'm really proud of, as I know a lot of people have been coming to me this year, particularly this past year, around confidence on whether it's public speaking, pitching, presentations. So today I'm going to focus on the angle of interviews to help you pitch yourself more effectively. However, if you are not going for an interview, but you need to pitch yourself for a gig, an opportunity, or as a speaker, a trainer, this is still all relevant to you as well. So I'm curious to hear, for those who are here, what's your profession? I want to hear some of those from you, like what kind of profession you're in your career, or whether you are an entrepreneur. Share with me in the comments. We'll love to know from the audience here, so I can tailor some of the stories today. All right, so let's dive into this training. I'm loving the interaction I'm seeing right now here. Okay, so the first C of the confidence formula is communicate in a clear, concise, and compelling way. This is huge. Okay, one of the core reasons of why people get rejected from interviews is lack of clear communication. So communication effectiveness is really, really important. So you want to be clear, concise, and compelling. So one of the techniques that I work on a lot with my clients is called bottom lining. Bottom lining, which is get to the point. Get to the point. And so and perhaps maybe I'll share with you an example here, right? And so going back to storytelling, right? Before you dive into the story of what you're trying to tell them, think of that headline statement. Headline statement we're trying to tell. And the strategy here is you want to make it easier for people to take notes. You want to make it easier for people to take notes. Okay, that's really the strategy, make it easier. And so I'll give you an example. This the example I was working with a pharma sales manager. One of the stories was he was trying to tell me of how he helped a new hire to become a better salesperson by understanding biostatistics, which is about like numbers and stats. And she had trouble understanding it. So he created her a cheat sheet so that she could sell it better. So he went into the whole story. I was like, okay, that's great here. So now let's think of like the headline statement here that will pique curiosity. So he worked on it, and the headline statement was something along the lines of, I helped a sales rep create a cheat sheet to understand biostatistics so that she could sell with confidence. The tagline here is sell with confidence. And that led to me creating a course on teaching over 100 sales rep on biostatistics. That's the impact statement. Let me tell you further about this story. You see here, if you make it clear, concise, compelling, it's like, oh, I want to learn more. Tell me more there. Okay, so this is a core strategy there. Okay, amazing. Okay, the second is the O, is to organize your thoughts and delivery. Okay, see, here's the thing. With interviews, oftentimes it's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or even an hour. You can't tell everything. So you really have to be strategic and intentional of what you want to say. And the key here is you got to organize your thoughts. Otherwise, you're going to be very frazzled. And that was something I saw with another client I worked with yesterday, was that she had a full day of meetings, really stressed, and didn't have her notes ready. And as a result, her thoughts and delivery was not structured. Right. So one of the tip here is that when you go over an interview, try to minimize any distractions and really try to structure your thoughts in like the 3 points. 3 things, 3 reasons why you should hire me. My top 3 strengths are 3 reasons why I'm interested in this company. That's going to help you organize your thoughts and delivery and make it easier for people to take notes. Okay, this is why I love using frameworks for interviews, right? Motivational questions, 3 reasons. For behavioral questions, you've probably heard of the STAR model, or I like to call it the CAR model, like 3 things. And that's going to help you follow a framework and structure. Okay. Yeah, many different models, right? Quite a few techniques here. Okay. All right. Let me just take a quick look. So many of you participating. Yeah, some people prefer CAR, some people prefer PAR. Yes. Okay. Who do we have here? Christina, event manager, Lisa in finance, HR manager, operations manager, consultant, creative director, career changer, Huma. Okay. Recruitment, data analyst, engineering student. Oh, wow. We have a diverse audience right now. Educator, writer, environmental consultant. Oh, wait, aspiring speaker. Okay, amazing. TV news producer. Oh, amazing. Lizzie, you can probably offer some tips, right? Being on camera and thinking on your feet. All right, awesome. Okay. Okay, are there technical difficulties? I see I'm still going live here, so it looks good. Maybe we just need to refresh the screen in case there is not happening live or frozen on your side there. Okay, so number 3 is the N, to nail your pitch and why messages. Okay, nailing your pitch. So what I mean by that is really your elevator pitch, which is really that current narrative. I like to call it your glowing introduction. Right? Guarantee you're going to get some version of tell me about yourself, walk me through your resume, tell me about your experience. Okay, so you really want to nail that and think of what's the theme and angle you want to take. Okay, so think back of the demo I did earlier of how I pitched my story. What are some things you really want to incorporate there? Okay, so a lot of times people just talk about the career history, but not thinking of it, I'll put on the hat of thinking like a marketer of what will resonate, what will sell there. The why messages are really important, right? Because the why messages is really to add understanding of your motivation and really what are the benefits of hiring you. So let me go through the examples here. The why messages could be, why are you interested in this job? Why are you interested in this company? Why are you the best candidate to hire? Why are you looking to make a change? So let me just walk through a couple examples here because I see some common mistakes. The difference between why are you interested in this job versus why are you the best candidate are two different types of questions, and people tend to overlap it. Why this role is what I call a motivation question. Is they want to understand, what do you like about this job, right? How does this align with your strengths, interests, career aspirations? What do you like doing in this job? And so you want to speak about how it aligns to that, the alignment of it. And they want to see if you really understand the job or what it takes to be successful. Okay, so you want to use language that I like the fact I get to do this. I see that in this role, majority of my time, I'll be doing this or solving problems in this area. This job really aligns to my career, long-term career goals of where I'm heading. So you want to talk about that. Whereas why you, it's more a actually pitch type of messaging because they're trying to understand your fit for the role. So you are trying to qualify yourself. So what you want to do is you want to do a recap of your knowledge, skills, and experience of what you bring to the table, right? Essentially, it's like the expertise. And you want to highlight your track record of success. However, to take it next level, this is where it's like about conveying your unique value and the benefits of hiring you. What's the so what here? Is you really want to highlight the benefits of hiring you, which is more what I call a future-oriented language, meaning instead of saying I have XYZ skills and experience, you want to say I'm confident in helping you achieve this goal in this job, in this role. I believe I can help you with XYZ. So you're using a more reinforcement and affirmation type of messaging than what you bring to the table. Okay. Type in a +1 if this resonates with you. Okay. This is a very, very important technique that most people get wrong. And if you understand this, your interview delivery would be the next level. Going from past-oriented messaging to future-oriented messaging. Okay. And so this is in sales. For those who are in sales, the technique is like features tell, benefits sell. The features are like your knowledge, skills, and experience. The benefits, the so what of it, is what's going to sell to an employer because you're connecting the dots. Okay, good. So a lot of you I'm seeing typing a +1. This is resonating. So I want to challenge you. Of all of you, as an exercise is really think about, hey, what are the benefits of hiring me? Right. So think of how, from a metric standpoint, is it that you can help solve a problem faster? You can help them make more money, save time, save money, whatever that is, right? So really think of the metric of what the employer cares about, and you want to hone in that, essentially having your promise statement of what you can do for them, okay? This is critical. Candace just said that. Yeah, this is critical. Most people don't do it. I can tell you from my experience as a coach, I would say 90% of the people I work with don't do it. But once I work with them and they do it, that's what makes them stand out. And I can tell you, when you do this, your salary negotiation power increases, meaning your ability to earn more increases because you sound more confident in conveying your value and promising them of what you can do for them. That gives you more leverage when it comes to negotiation. Okay, so it is critical. Yes. Okay. All right. This is a very, very active audience today. I love it. So it sounds like this is really resonating with a lot of you here. Okay. The fourth, which is the F of the formula here, is to focus on highlighting your unique qualities and value. Okay. So this ties back to what I was saying earlier, is really think about what are your differentiation factors, right? Unique qualities and values. So something like that I'd like to challenge people to think about is, what are your top 3 unique selling points? What truly differentiates you, right? And this is not easy to do, right? Especially when you're so in it. I really recommend you doing this with someone so that they can see you from a different lens, because you're so used to seeing yourself in a certain way. And if you do it with someone, exercise on really understanding what it takes to be successful in the job, what are the challenges in the job, what are the really core responsibilities, it's going to really help you think of, hey, what aspect of you in terms of your experience, the qualities that you have, the superpowers, the skill sets that you have, that's going to make you very unique. So I'll give you an example. I have a client that I'm working with, very, what do you call it? Intense interview, academic interviews. I don't know any people in academic here who go through very, very intense interviews. Like they spend months to prepare and going for this interview. And one of the things that the role itself is handling crisis situations, like complex crisis situations, like death situations, for example. And I discover, this client that not only has been working in this academic setting for a long time, but she is a psychologist and she is certified in dealing with crisis and trauma situations. Like when there are like shootings in at schools and stuff, like she's called in to do that. And I said to her, that's your differentiation factor. The fact that you can handle crisis situations, trauma in a calmly manner, that's what's going to differentiate you. And we need to talk about that because not everyone can deal with that. Okay. It's not everyone can deal with that. And so that's part of her one core differentiation factors, right? And so if you don't know that person, if if the employer doesn't have the background, or they may see it on the resume, but they may not remember it, right? But if you actually highlight that, hey, I see that this job requires you someone to handle crisis situations, and I'm actually certified in crisis management, that's like, boom, bingo. Like we have someone who not only certified, but is very experienced in this area. It's like an instant match there. Okay, so I really want to challenge you to think about that. Or if you're applying for a job that requires someone who speaks another language, that's huge. You really want to highlight that. Or if a job that really emphasizes like having international experience for those who are like international or expats, highlighting that you have that global perspective, international experience, that could be a huge differentiation factor for you, right? So really think about what your top 3 are, right? So as an example, like I know for me, when clients hire me, if they ask me like, well, why am I better career coach, or why should they hire me versus someone else? And so I would talk about how I have a recruiting background. And if you're looking for someone who can help you think of it from an employer's lens of what makes you stand out or what are the red flags, I can help you identify that. Or I can help you anticipate the interview questions that you'll get because I've done thousands of interviews. So you want to give that proof and that reassurance there and think of what are your differentiation factors. Okay. So I want to hear from you guys. What are your differentiation factors? Can you give me some specific things that you feel like what differentiates you, even though you don't feel like it differentiates you, but just the fact of acknowledging it and declaring it has power as well, right? And seeing yourself of that value and that light is really going to help you like, oh, this is what makes you unique, or this is what makes you strong as a strong candidate there. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Okay. So number 5 is that you want to impress the audience by demonstrating your impact, initiative, and influence. Okay. So this also ties a little bit back to the value, but I specifically point here around impact, initiative, and influence, because this highlights to more leadership piece, right? If you look at, as an example, I'm going to use like Amazon, like they have like 16 or 17 now leadership qualities that they're looking for. Essentially, they're looking for leaders, people who are proactive, they take ownership, initiative, they have made a great impact, or their ability to influence others so they can collaborate effectively, right? So this here is that you want to think about things around your impact of like, how do I do things differently? And a question you can ask yourself, one of my friend, Tiffany Uman, who's a fellow career coach, if you're not sure about that impact piece, a reverse question you can ask is, what would not have happened if I wasn't there? What would not have happened if I was not there? And that's going to help you think about your impact, how you took initiative, and how you influenced. Okay. So even if you're not in a leadership role, you can demonstrate those leadership qualities. Okay? And those are the things that you want to highlight. And it's so important in an interview, especially for those who are in leadership roles, like in management roles, to clearly distinguish between what did you decide, what did you do, and what did you delegate. Okay. The reason being is that you are going for an interview. So you want to have a balance between saying I versus we. And you want to be very, very clear, like what did you actually delegate, but versus what did you actually do, or what did you actually come up with? What did you decide? Okay. And that's going to showcase this piece around impact, initiative, and influence. Okay. Awesome. Oh, thank you for the feedback here, Mohammed. You are crushing complex concepts to the most simplistic forms. You're amazing. Well, thank you for that feedback. Interview training is one of my most comprehensive trainings actually that I have with my clients. This is like what you're getting right now is just a sampler of the first part. I'm not even going into depth of answering all the questions. motivational and behavioral questions. But this is going to give you a great start for all of you there. Okay. All right. Kyra share one of her differentiation. Employee number one in a startup. Amazing. So think about, what does that mean? Being employee number one, and I'm just guessing because I don't know you, Kyra, but being employee number one most likely mean that you got to roll up your sleeves, wear multiple hats, do a lot of different things, be resourceful, figure a lot of things on your own, come up with new processes, new policies, whatever that is, right? But my point here is, what's the so what of it, right? The fact that you're employee number one, so what is it? There's so many, okay? And I just came up with examples as an example here for people to think about. What does that really mean? Okay, number 6. Okay, we're on the number 6 of this formula, the confidence, was the D of differentiate as top talent by showcasing your performance, progression, promotions, and personal brand. Okay, so let me break this down. This is from my experience as a recruiter, is that when you can showcase these things, you're seen as more a top talent candidate, meaning being a high performer with high potential. And so let's just think about it, break it down. Performance, you want to talk about your performance. Like, have you been identified as a high performer? If you have you consistently been exceeding your results, or at least meet your results, your goals there? So you want to talk about that. Progression. So this is the growth trajectory of your growth. How have you grown? Have you taken on, let's say, more responsibilities? Have you gained more new skills, new knowledge? Whatever that is, you're trying to showcase that you are a learner with a growth mindset there. Promotions, that's also another sign of top talent, right? Like, have you had a fast track promotion, right? If the traditional track is, let's say, 3 years to get promoted, but you've been promoted consistently year over year, that is a sign that you are a high achiever. Like, when I was at Google as a recruiter, I had to actually build a case study. I had to write a report card of essentially finding out these things about a candidate, right? If someone had a fast track promotion, I have to write that, right? Or if they've been consistently ranked like top 10%, top 5%, or top 2%, and gather that. That's a fact there, right? But personal branding is all about how you essentially promote yourself, how you show up, right? If you're consistently talking about your value and showing up, having that visibility, you're going to be more memorable, right? If you highlight your wins to your boss or to management, they're going to keep you top of mind when it comes to that next round of promotions or performance reviews as well. That's part of personal branding management. Okay, so these are things that you can do proactively to stand out as top talent. And this is something that I would say that's really set the angle or the theme of what I do in my business. And it's because a lot of my work as a recruiter at top companies like Google or top MBA schools, I really think about what does it take to stand out as top talent? And these are things that I'm sharing with you today there. Okay. All right. If this is resonating, type in a +1. Okay. This is resonating. I'm sharing with you a lot of concepts here, and I hope this is going to really help you think differently to reach your next level there. Okay. All right. 7th is the E. The E is to have excellent stories and relevant examples to resonate. Okay. So going back to those 12 stories I share, that you want to have excellent stories to tell, and they want to be relevant so that it will resonate. Okay. So if you're not sure how to, what stories to tell, you really need to prioritize and really think back about the job. So a lot of people don't do this, but one of my favorite exercises to do is I dissect the job with my clients. I'll talk about, okay, well, what does this job really entail? Why is this job open? What are the challenges? What are the primary responsibilities? What are the secondary responsibilities? What are the deliverables? What are the expectations? When you do that kind of assessment and then put yourself in the shoes of the employer, the hiring manager, you're going to then think about, okay, well, what stories can I tell that will really resonate with them? Okay, what stories? So I'll give you an example. If you are going to interview for a role, let's just say a brand new role, the type of story that you're going to tell is you want to tell stories of when you've been in new situations or never done before type of projects, or you were the first to do something, because that's relevant, right? If you're going for that new role, or if you're going for a next level role, like a promotion role, okay, you want to already showcase of how you've been performing at that next level, right? I had a client last year who was senior manager interviewing for director level roles. And The way we talked about some of his stories was that we talked about how he was actually in an acting director role when his director was away. That's one story. We talked about how he was already demonstrating certain qualities at that next level. We talked about how some examples of how he had to manage up, like the VP, right? So relevant stories that showcase your performing that next level is going to help. Or if you're going for a role that is, what is it called? Brand new, but let's just say a combination of multiple functional areas. I had a client like that, going from a hospital to a private long-term care company. And it was a combination of multiple areas, like quality, strategy, and external partnerships. It's like 3-in-1 type of role, which is hard to prepare when you think of stories. But you really don't want to think about, okay, well, why are they doing that? And you want to think about, okay, well, what are the challenges by doing that? And how have you actually had to perform in the past where it required you to be in a new situation or required to handle things differently or multiple functions to connect the dots? Right. So this is where you really need to analyze that in order to think like what type of stories will really resonate there. Okay. Let me just think of another example. Like I'm working with another client. Oh, another recent client. I was helping a client who's a fellow career coach applying to her dream job to a university, a top university in the States. And the job required to work with engineering students, particularly working with a lot of international students there. And so one of her differentiation factor was I know that she worked with a lot of international students, particularly like the Asian population there. And so part of the stories we wanted her to highlight was how her experience of helping international students to land jobs in the States. Right. So that's really what I call connecting the dots, relevant stories, being very specific and intentional with it. Okay. So oftentimes I have heard feedback as a recruiter, like I've heard feedback from employers where the examples or stories are not compelling enough, meaning really it's just not strong enough, not relevant enough, or not connecting the dots. And that's one of the reasons why people get rejected is because they're not able to showcase how they're actually a good fit for the job they're going after there. Okay. So being strategic about it is really, really important. And that's something I love doing because if you can really get into the habit or the head of thinking, okay, well, the job itself and the employer, the need of what they really need, then you can reverse engineer and think about, okay, well, how am I going to really tailor it to the needs there to make it more relevant? All right. So moving on is number 8 is the N, which is the numbers are powerful proof that give context of significance. Okay, so numbers are really important. So this is what makes it less fluffy. So oftentimes I would say majority of people I work with, or even the resumes I see, they lack numbers. And when you have numbers, it really gives good context. So I'll use another example. I have another client I'm working with. There's a difference between saying like, I have experience managing a budget versus saying, I have experience managing a $200 million budget. A $200 million budget is much bigger and complex than, let's say, a $2 million or $20 million budget, right? And so giving that context will help people see, okay, do you have that relevant experience there? Okay. Or an example, another client where being in sales, right? If you can talk about, let's say, I have managed XYZ territories, or I have experience managing XYZ products, and it's relevant to this role you're going after, that's going to give more credibility. Or the numbers around that, I have consistently exceeded my quota over 100%, where I've done 120%, 150%. Those specific numbers is going to give credibility there. I would say most people have a hard time doing this, especially if you haven't really tracked your results. If you can get some of these numbers, that's always helpful. The way I like to think about it is really think about metrics, KPIs, key performance indicators. This is really more important for those, especially I would say seasoned professionals, experienced professionals, managers, leaders, executives. If you don't have numbers, it's going to be really weak, especially if you manage, let's say, a budget, or if you have P&L, profit and loss accountability. There, being able to highlight numbers is going to be so, so key. And most people don't do this enough because we're not used to saying like, hey, like I achieved X number of results here. But by doing that, it's less fluffy and it's more impressive. Okay. So start thinking about that. Like if you are in Marketing, for example, you want to think of, let's say, market share, customer acquisition rates, profitability, right? Think of all those kind of numbers that will be helpful there. Okay. Even though if you're not directly responsible for it, but you did a project or a campaign, for example, that is related to it, you can still highlight the bottom line impact of how you contributed to that result as well. Okay. It's like being a part of the team of how you helped with that there. Okay. And that's part of storytelling and positioning. Okay. So ninth is the C, which is all about connecting the dots of how and why you're a great fit for the job. Okay. This is really the next level. Right? The connecting the dots, most people, again, don't do it. Connecting dots is really going back to you going to talk about your past experience and connecting back to the job itself of how what you're sharing is relevant. So this is where you want to think about your past experience of what you've learned would be beneficial to the job itself. This is what we call the so what piece, connect the dots, the so what of it. Okay. By doing that, you're really going to showcase your understanding of the job, what the challenges are, what it takes to succeed, and also promising what you can do for them. That's like closing. That's really when I say pitching yourself confidently, is you are really like closing the deal here because you've done essentially enough research analysis to showcase you understand them. This is particularly important, I would say, when you go to more the final round interviews, because when you're in the first round interview, it's hard to connect the dots. You're just learning about the job. You can't really pitch yourself of connecting specifically. Okay. But if you are in that final round and you have to come up with, let's say, your 90-day plan, I see some people have to do that, or a pitch presentation, you really need to go that extra mile on that next level of really thinking about, hey, what can I do for them? It's no longer just like, here's what I've done. It's like, here's what I can do for you. It's a completely mindset shift of going from past to future. And it's like you're selling a vision, you're selling a promise, you're selling a possibility here. And that's what's going to get the employer excited about hiring you. Get them excited about hiring you. Okay. Sometimes, especially for brand new roles, the employer may not know what they want. Or if they're just trying to map out a new role, especially in today's stage of pandemic in 2-3 years now, like there's a lot of newly created opportunities. Sometimes employers don't know what they really want. And it's up to you as a candidate to connect the dots, right? By asking those right questions to understand the need, and you're pitching them a possibility, an opportunity of what you can achieve by hiring you. That is quite common. I see this a lot with executive level roles, like newly created opportunities. They may have an idea of what they want to achieve, but if you can really paint that picture, paint that vision, sell it, that's how you can also command a higher salary as well. Okay, so that's a very important concept. Okay. All right, so we're almost wrapping up. I want to hear from you later on, like which of these concepts really resonate with you or which one you really want to work on as well. Okay, for those who are still here, thank you. Okay, see a lot of you here on LinkedIn, so we'll be wrapping up soon. 10th is the E, elevate your energy and engage with the audience by showing interest. Okay, so I talked a lot about the content, but a big piece when it comes to the delivery itself, especially in virtual, is you have to amplify this energy so that people can feel you, so that they can really showcase that engagement as well, that you want this job. Especially, when it comes to that question, like, why are you interested in us? Why are you interested in this job? Why are you the best candidate? Show that energy, right? That enthusiasm, that you sound excited for the opportunity there. So a few simple things, because I was working with another client earlier this week. There's a difference. This is why body language matters, which I'll talk about later on after this, is that there's a difference between, let's just say if you're leaning in to talk like this, if you're sitting and you're kind of closing, you're kind of like more monotone, right? Like even right now, my voice feels kind of, it's deep, but it's lacking energy. But if you just sit up taller, or if you're standing, you are opening up, right? The flow here, you're going to sound more excited and confident. And this is huge. This is part of the whole know, like, and trust, where people really feel like, do I know you? Do I like you? Do I trust you? Do I want to work with you? It's a lot of it's the energy. Okay? And so a lot of times I would argue people spend way more time on just preparing the content, everything I've been talking about here, which is really important because it's going to help you be more clear, concise, compelling, and confident. But the other part is also, how do you want to show up in an interview. And this is going back to the intention is, are you showing up with excitement, with energy and enthusiasm? If you are, that connection piece is going to be stronger, right? The lack of connection with the interviewer is also one of the common reasons why people get rejected, is because they don't feel that connection with the person there. They don't see working with them for a long period of time. Okay. Awesome. Yes. All right. I love this. People are saying great, really amazing. Awesome. That's great to hear this here. Okay. So last one, tying back to what I just said. The last piece is like this bonus tip, which is my whole entire confidence formula, is having confidence in your abilities, body language, and tone of voice. Confidence in yourself and the body language and your tone of voice, right? So do you believe in yourself? Do you show up with confidence? And do you sound confident? All this is going to make a huge difference. Okay. So studies have shown that 55% of your message impact is based on body language. 38% is based on your tone of voice. And only 7% is based on words. That means that 93% of your message impact is based on your nonverbal cues, right? So your body language and your tone of voice. So how you say what you say matters. How you say what you say matters, right? So this is so key if you are really looking to take it to the next level, to pitch yourself with confidence. How you choose to show up is going to have a significant impact in you closing and landing the interview. So just imagine if I showed up today's training sounding monotone, boring, unengaging, like not engaging with you all. That feels like a lecture. Probably a lot of you would have dropped off this training already. Right. And so a big part is going to be your energy. And in a virtual setting, because you can't really see the audience or feel the audience, in this case, I don't see any of you, and it takes a little longer time for people to register that, you amplifying the energy is more important. Okay. And so even simple things like eye contact, like looking at the camera when you're speaking, that they're going to actually feel like you're talking to them, makes a huge difference. Right. So I put like pictures of my kids to remind me to look at the camera when I'm speaking. Simple things like with video presence, I'm going to give some tips here. Lighting makes a huge difference, right? Some of you have messaged me, Diana, why is it that your camera, that you look so pro? You know what? The hack here is having good lighting. I got rid of my ring lights earlier this year. I upgraded to some really nice LED lights with the diffuser here. You don't need this if you're not a presenter per se, but if you do a lot of presentations at work, having good lighting makes a difference. I have another like LED light in front of me right now. I got rid of the ring light to avoid the glare in my glasses. And then the other thing I want to say is in terms of your positioning of your camera presence, that you want to showcase a bit of your arms, your upper torso, and that builds trust and credibility. Using hands gestures is a great way to communicate or make a point of your messaging. Okay. So having that arm's length distance to your camera is a good rule of thumb there. You want to avoid being too close to the camera, like where you're just showing a talking head, because that's too close of a distance and people are going to feel uncomfortable there. Okay, so that arm's length distance is the rule of thumb. I have to tell you, the reason I'm talking about this is I see a lot of people where they don't have good lighting, don't have a good mic or camera, and it could impact in terms of the impression. Right? If you're trying to position yourself as a top candidate, high performer, high potential, how you choose to show up will matter as well. All right, so let's do a recap, and I want to hear from you which one of these that you really want to focus on working, whether you have an interview or not coming up, but these techniques are going to help you become a better communicator and presenter. So let's do a recap. The first is to communicate in a clear, concise, and compelling way. Second is to organize your thoughts and delivery. Third is to nail your pitch and why messages. Fourth is to focus on highlighting your unique value and qualities. Fifth is to impress the interviewers by demonstrating your impact, initiative, and influence. Sixth is to differentiate as top talent by showcasing your performance, progression, promotions, and personal brand. These are the first six. Seventh is to provide excellent stories and examples that will resonate with your interviewers. Number 8, numbers are powerful proof that provide context of significance. 9th, connect the dots of how and why you're a great fit for the job. 10th, elevate your energy and engage with the audience by showing interest for the opportunity. Lastly, confidence in your own abilities, body language, and tone of voice. All right, so share with me which of these 11 you really want to work on. Okay, type in the comments to let me know. Right, this is part of your own commitment to growth, to reach your next level. Let me know which of these that you really want to work on. Okay, I'll quickly show you the first 6 here as well. Here are the first 6. Let me know. And feel free to also type in questions. I'm going to answer questions shortly after this. Okay. Here are the first 6, and here are the last 5 here. Let me see. Which ones do you really want to work on here? Okay, which tips? I know all of them are good, but you got to prioritize as you start looking to improve. What are like those top 3 that you really want to hone in on to get better and better at? Okay. So David shared, connecting the dots concisely is something that I can work on to get to the point more succinctly. Amazing. Yes, when you connect the dots, you communicate more succinctly. 3 and 6. So 3 and 6, let me see, what were those there? Nail your pitch and why messages and differentiate as top talent. Okay. 2 and 7. Yep. Organize your thoughts. Okay. And excellent stories. Okay. Communicate concise and clearly. Yes. Elevating my energy. Good. Okay. Good. All right. So these are really resonating with a lot of you here that I'm seeing. So I'm going to share with you an e-guide later, like with all these tips as well, so that you can also have it handy for yourself, because there's a lot of these techniques that you can apply, honestly, not just for interviews, but regular like presentations or speaking engagements that you have. These are concepts you can really apply to as well. So those are the 11 strategies of pitching yourself with confidence. Okay, so here is my reminder, right? This is something I really like to remind people, is my final words of encouragement is that, 1, identifying your value. Right? Know yourself, what truly differentiates you. If you really want to be more confident in pitching yourself, you first need to know yourself. Identify your value. 2nd is to believe in your value. This goes back to this confidence piece of believing that you matter, believe that you're worth it, believe that you have what it takes. Right? That's the next piece. You got to believe that. If you don't believe it, it's going to be really hard for others to believe in you there. Okay? And then lastly, the 3rd is to communicate your value. Okay, so this is where you want to showcase your value, speak about your value, articulate your value, convey your value, advocate for yourself, right? Proactively manage your career in advocating for yourself. Like if you want to get that promotion, you want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to be noticed, you have to convey your value, because you are your greatest asset. If you don't talk about yourself in a way with confidence, it's hard for others to have confidence in you. So this is a skill that can be worked on. Okay. So I hope that really inspires you, encourages you to really believe in your own abilities and what you have to offer. Okay. One of my favorite sayings to ace an interview is to speak with assertiveness, confidence, and enthusiasm. That's the ACE. Okay. Speak with ACE. Type that in the comments. Speak with ACE. Assertiveness, confidence, and enthusiasm. So the assertiveness piece is really around that certainty, sounding that piece of clarity as well. And so one thing you want to avoid, and I see this sometimes with clients, is that if you're not as confident, people end with a what they call the high pitch tone, that inflection, that saying like I'm this, I can do this, and it really, that higher pitch tone doesn't sound as confident or credible. Okay, so work on that for those who have that softer voice. I used to sound like that as well. Like when I was not as confident earlier in my career, I used to have that higher pitch tone until I was aware of it and really worked on it there. Okay, the confidence, going back to sounding more certain and assertive and more concise. Enthusiasm is really the energy, the feeling. Something I've been teaching my clients lately with interviews is a technique on heart, head, and hands. So what I mean by that, the heart is really that emotion piece, the energy piece where people can really feel you, right? Like telling that story there. The head is more the logic, the analytical piece. So giving the facts, the proof, the numbers, that's the head. The hands is the body language, right? So really giving emphasis of what you want to talk about. So if you can incorporate these in, guarantee that you're going to be a more effective communicator and presenter. Okay. All right. So my final words of encouragement. This is something like, if you know me even here, it's my favorite sayings: own your greatness with confidence to shine. Own your greatness in terms of what you're really good at, what you're known for, those strong gifts and superpowers that you have. Own it and use it so that you can strive and thrive in your career and life. Okay, so tell me, what is your biggest takeaway? For those who are still here, I see many of you here on LinkedIn. Tell me, type in the comments, what are your biggest takeaway from today's training? Okay, and I'm going to share with you my free e-guide of where you can download here. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to answer some questions there. Tell me a little bit of what's your biggest takeaway from today's training. If you enjoyed it, type in a +1. Let me know you're here. You enjoyed this training, you found it helpful, type in a +1. Okay, if you want to share what your biggest takeaways are, that's always helpful to help you stick with make the learning stick there. Okay. And then if you have questions, feel free to type it in as well. I'm going to share with you a few other things. Okay. Awesome. Let me just take a look at what's coming in. My phone here. All right. David said, if you really believe in your value to serve, then you would be a great asset. So your message is heard. Yes. Okay, this is going so fast right now. Is having a clear message to get the interviewer to pick you. Yes. All right. Confidence and knowing yourself are key to help you be successful. Absolutely. All right. Super helpful. Great to hear that. I think this is like the highest attendance training I've ever had. It sounds like I could do more of this training. It's really rare on a live stream I have such a high audience here. Okay. All right. I should be confident in what I bring to the table. Yes, that's a great affirmation. Instead of "so should be," I want to, Deanna, get you right. I am confident with what I bring to the table. Okay. That's an affirmation. Identify. All right. What else? Identify yourself. Yes. Believe and communicate. Okay. What else here? Best webinar I've ever attended, making a solid point and not fluffing it up, not rambling. Confidence. Amazing. Thank you so much for the feedback. All right. Huma share that I love that you give a roadmap of what will be discussed. I love your acronyms. Thank you. That's part of my style as well. Knowing my worth is key. Yes. Okay. Good. And why I'm unique. Good. This is resonating. That's really my point here is I want to make it resonate with all of you. So let me share a few things. As I said, there's a takeaway for. Actually, I want to hear from you. How would you describe, what's one word describe how you feel from today's training? Tell me how you feel. What's one word describe how you're feeling from today's training? Right. This was really powerful. When I did this training with the UN employees, it was a very, very powerful training. Yeah. Okay. Let me see here. All right. What I'm hearing here, feeling amazing. Talk about your values, empowered, motivated, energized. Okay. Confident, inspired, ready, reassured, calm. Oh, this is what I love hearing. Right? That one word, feeling empowered, amazing, amazing. Okay, this is so good. I'm loving this vibe already. Like this is like the highest audience I've seen. So I just want to say I see you. Really grateful. Like I honestly decided to do this like just a few days ago because I really want to give back because I'm doing a lot of interview coaching lately. And okay, so I want to share something. This is something I haven't really shared before. Some of you know that I'm looking to do more speaking and training in 2023. And historically, I've been doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, and I'm looking to actually do more group coaching and training in the new year. So if you're looking to get more interview training, I want to share with you something new that I'm looking to pilot in the new year. If there is enough interest, I will look to launch it. Okay. So it's called my Master Your Interviews with Confidence Bootcamp. And it's a 7-week of experiential learning. So think of what you learned today, but in a smaller group setting where you get to see me like in Zoom and we can talk together as well. And you'll receive weekly training videos, coaching, practice, and feedback from me as well. So not only you get the training, you're also going to get the personalized coaching there. So we're going to cover these things, these topics on how to tailor your message to the hiring needs. So I'm going to go more in depth of answering specific questions. Communicate clearly and succinctly. Okay, so going more in depth where you get to practice on that. How to tell compelling and relevant stories, which I should cover a little bit today, but more in depth. Answering motivational questions and behavioral questions. So this is something I pretty much work with my clients all the time to AC interviews, like specific questions to answer, like how to answer them, how to start it, what stories to tell, and how to wrap it up. How to showcase executive presence on camera, how to pitch yourself as ideal candidate to hire with confidence. So if you're interested, join my waitlist, okay, at mymarketability.com/confidence. Right, so this is going to be like an intimate type of group training and coaching program where you'll get the trainings and get to practice in small groups. And I'm going to give you the feedback as well. And when you join this waitlist, you're also going to get the free e-guide that I talked about here, like all those 11 strategies that you learned today. It's going to be in a pretty PDF that's created of all those 11 strategies. So even if you're not interested in the bootcamp, but you just want this copy of the PDF, download that. And if you're interested, sign up on the waitlist. You can book a free consultation call with me. If there is enough interest, I'm going to look to launch something like this in the new year, possibly earlier if there is enough interest. The reason why I'm doing this is because I have been doing a lot of one-on-one coaching for many, many years now, like a decade now. And I'm looking to do more speaking and training, like impacting a larger audience. And one of the ways for me to serve a bigger audience is running group programs there. And also it's an opportunity to build a community and for people to support one another there. Okay, so feel free to sign up for that waitlist, mymarketability.com/confidence there. All right, so thank you, Jan, for sharing it in the comments. So you can just click on that there to sign up and you get that. Okay, so want to learn more for those who are new to my work? I encourage you to check out my website at mymarketability.com. I have a lot of free resources there as well. Jan, if you can help share, is mymarketability.com/resources. I actually have more free interview training. So think of questions you want to ask the interviewer. I have a checklist on that. So download that at mymarketability.com. Click on free resources for that. Follow me on LinkedIn at Diana YK Chan. I post a lot of free content on career, job search, interviews, presentations, and general motivational tips as well. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. So all the training that you see today, all my live streams are also recorded on my YouTube channel. And oftentimes I like to add the timestamps to it so that you can go back for easy viewing. So if there's a particular segment you want to go back to, check it out on my YouTube channel, as I will be adding timestamps later on for easy viewing replay. And you can use that to share with your friends and network as well. Okay, so I'm opening up to Q&A and questions as well. Okay, yes, for those who want to subscribe, interested in the bootcamp or e-guide, check that out at mymarketability.com/confidence. Okay, feel free to ask me questions. So let me just take a quick look. Someone asked earlier to repeat the heart and head concept. Okay, yes, the heart, head, and hand. So the heart, this is all about technique when speaking to help you remember. The heart is to really speak in a way that will resonate on an emotional level. So telling stories, speaking from your heart versus your head. So oftentimes, if you're feeling nervous, you're speaking from your head and you're not connecting. So if you want to really connect, you have to speak from your heart. Same for me here. Like I'm really speaking from my heart to really connect. The head is really more the facts. So the data, the numbers, the logic, the structure, using techniques of 1, 2, 3, make it easier for people to follow, is the head. The hand is the body language. It's really that unspoken, like the body language. I think there was a question on the difference between body language and other non-verbals. Essentially, body language is like the topic of that includes like eye contact, facial expressions, smiling, posture, how you stand. All that is body language, right? Your hand gestures, that is all body language there. Okay. So things that you're not necessarily speaking, it's like body language, right? Simple things I'll tell you, like if you want to appear more confident, there's a difference between like slouching in an interview or even just like leaning back versus like actually owning your space, owning the room. That's a big, huge confidence appearance as well, without even saying, but coming into the room with confidence, just standing tall, looking tall. Okay. Okay, good. All right, let me see what are the comments that are coming in right now. Question here, Paul. Is there another technique other than star, par, and car? Because I prefer par. Remind what par is. I mean, to be honest, I don't know if these are not resonating with you or not, but you can come up your own, make up your own other techniques there. But the most common one is definitely star and car there. For those who don't know what that means, I'm just going to break it down in simple terms, right? Behavioral questions. Part of behavioral questions is for people to assess your past performance and how it relates to your future job and performance, right? So in order to tell an effective story using answering behavioral questions, you use a technique like this. So CAR is context, action, result. STAR is situation, task, action, result. So technically situation, task just is part of CAR, the C there, okay? And so when you think about it, you think of intro, body, conclusion. You can think of that too, another way to technique, intro, body, conclusion. You want to set the stage and tone of what you're about to tell them, right? Paint that picture so they understand the story. So a lot of times people tell the story, but not necessarily the significance in terms of what were the issues, what were the challenges? Like if this did not get resolved, what would have happened? Like that's giving you that, it's like that trailer, the headline statement there. The action here is being clear with your steps. So one of the challenges I see with people is that they go into the story of it, of what happened, but not the specificity of what did you do. So the action, one of the technique here is you want to use powerful action verbs. I assessed, created, built, collaborated. Those kind of words are powerful action verbs to showcase what did you do. Okay. So a very common mistake is just diving into the story without the steps. The goal here is you want to make it easier for people to take notes. The result is the outcome of it, right? The outcome of what you did, of how did it go well or not. I'm going to use an example, like not just of the technique here, because it just got me thinking of a story. So how many of you here have watched the show Paw Patrol? If you have young kids, you would have heard of the show Paw Patrol. It's a very popular show, and they sell like lots of toys, stuffies, games, and all that. So, I mean, I have 2 young kids. So this show, why I talk about this show is all about problem solving. So when you think of like telling a story, when you think of look at these shows, it's always about 20 minutes long. There's always the headline, a problem, the context of the situation, a problem. So they set the stage and scene of the problem of the show. And in the show, there's always a leader and there's always the pups who help save the day. And so it's actually a great show that talks about leadership, communication, problem-solving skills, and teamwork. And so there's always a leader who delegates specific actions that he delegates to each pup. So those are the actual steps there. And the result is usually around they save the day. They help whatever, person or situation or that a person was trouble in and save the day. And then they celebrate. Right? And so that's the story you're trying to tell. Like when you're trying to tell stories is you want to really be able to paint that picture, how you resolve the issue there. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So what's another question here coming in? Let me check. How to answer if one is looking for a job switch in less than 6 months due to work culture? Yes. So, I guess the concern here is what? The concern is how much you share, I'm guessing, the information. So you can you can talk about that you were looking for something different, right? It was not a good fit, just not a good fit, not a good alignment of your core values or what the job is really about. And really what they're trying to understand here is what are you really looking for? What do you really want, right? Like, how do we prevent that from happening again? So, really focusing on the aspiration in terms of what you want more, what you desire more of, versus just on the problem of itself, right? You can say there was not a good fit, not a good alignment, and then this is what I'm really looking for more there. Okay, good. Good. Any other questions coming in? Okay, let me see here. I'm just looking on my phone. Okay. Wow, this was a great audience. I love the engagement today. Let me see if there are any more coming in. Good, good, good. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I see a lot of thank yous. Yes, we're going to be wrapping up here soon. So this was really good. I really had a great time answering a lot of questions, engaging with you all today. Like, one of the things that why I really love this kind of topic is it's not just about interviews. At the end of the day, we're always asked to talk about ourselves. And I always hear the comment how I feel uncomfortable or I don't feel confident in talking about myself. And you don't necessarily have to think of pitching yourself, but think of how can you tell yourself in a way that gives credibility, that really showcase your value so that you are not underselling, undervaluing, or underrepresenting yourself. That's what it really is. So I want to challenge you to think about how you would talk about yourself when you're asked to have a quick 10-second, 20-second intro or 1-minute intro. In some cases, I see, like right now, I have a client, that academic interview, like a 20-minute intro, which is huge, really rare. Most intros are only 2 minutes, 3 minutes long. But if you have to tell a longer story, what would you talk about yourself that really highlights you? Like, I know Shopify, I believe they still do interviews like this around life story interviews where you talk about your life story, like they are for 1 hour. And it's not just about telling the life story. You really want to think about strategically the themes of what you want to talk about yourself that essentially goes back to highlighting your core values, your strengths, your interest, your expertise, how you solve problems, your leadership, your communication, adaptability, communication. All of these core competencies are what employers look for. So how you tell your story, how you pitch yourself really does matter. That has reflect the potential that people see in you there. Okay. Okay. All right. So let me just see here. A question around what tips can you give to a new graduate with only internship experience? Similar tips, as even if you don't have a lot of experience, talking about what you care about, what you're excited about, things that you've done matters, right? The key here, if you have limited experience, is you want to showcase potential. And so how you show up in terms of your curiosity, your energy, your enthusiasm, all matters. Showing that you are organized or well prepared, or you've done research about the company, all that matters as well. So think about things that you can do to go above and beyond an extra mile to stand out. Right. So I would say even the tip here is working on being a better communicator and presenter. All that is going to help as well. Okay, good. You're welcome. So glad to hear this is a great presentation. Yeah, I don't do enough of these. It's like, I have a busy schedule here, but this was a topic I really want to talk about just because the fall season is one of the busier seasons for recruiting. And I tend to do a lot more interview coaching during this time. So I have a lot of relevant stories and examples to share. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. So in terms of switching, so I'm going to answer someone have a comment here. If you want to switch to another opportunity, how do I pitch myself? This is something I do a lot. Okay. Like I've helped so many people pivot to a different industry, different career, reach next level roles. Pretty much everything you learn here today is relevant. Okay. But when you're going to another industry or another role, the extra step you need to take is you need to really understand this new industry. So meaning doing more research, of gaining more knowledge, understanding the lingo, the language that they use, so that you can also use that similar language to showcase understanding. The key here is showcase understanding, right? So it's totally okay if you're pivoting. You just have to showcase you have what it takes, even though you don't have the experience. Like I have so many examples I can share of stories of people pivoting. Like I had last year a client who pivoted from HR to IT internally. It may sound totally different, but her job was as a analyst, so she was really good with data, analytics, and all that, and the new role in IT requires someone who is good with that. So you have to really hone in on what they're really looking for, even though if you are pivoting there. My latest client as well, she pivoted from communications in the public sector to being a product strategist, senior product strategist at a top bank. Very, very different. However, when we dissected the job requires someone to be really good with executive presentations, managing different stakeholders. And her background, she was a news reporter before. So she's an amazing communicator and presenter on camera and a really good storyteller. So even though she may not have the product experience, but the job requires someone to be a great communicator and presenter. And she really honed in on that. So it doesn't matter if you're switching industries, professions. The key here is, do you understand what it takes to be successful? And are you pitching what they're looking for? That's really key, with confidence, right? Even if you don't have experience, do you believe that you can help them? Do you believe in your own abilities and core competencies? If you believe in that, it's going to sound more promising, reassuring, right? And you're selling like a vision, a possibility here to them. And they're going to be excited as well. Do you sound excited about the opportunity as well? Or are you anxious about it? Okay. And it's okay, you don't have all the answers, right? And part of it, a lot of times people look for a new job or they want a new challenge. So you don't necessarily want to go for a job where you have 100% qualification. You want something that's going to stretch you out of your comfort zone as well. So it's okay to say like, hey, while I don't have experience in this, I do understand this and I have looked into this and I'm confident I can get up to speed in this. So using that reassuring language, it's okay to be honest about if you don't know something. Okay, let me see here. Just to wrap up here, as I got quite over already. Let me see any questions. Oh, details about next week. Yes, thank you for the reminder, Christina. Okay, let's put this up. Yes, next week we're going to have a talk on how to overcome imposter syndrome with Melody Wilding. Next week, October 27th at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to talk about ways to overcome imposter syndrome, how to speak up at work. So tune into that. I will be actually promoting it later on this afternoon after this training there. So please join us. Melody is a best-selling author of Trust Yourself, and she is also a LinkedIn learning instructor with multiple courses on overcoming overthinking, managing burnout, and an expert in imposter syndrome there. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you join us for that session there. It's going to be a juicy conversation. Okay. Let me see what other comments coming in. You are welcome. Yes. Okay. So great to see a lot of familiar faces as well. Okay. Let me just see a couple more questions because we're going to have to wrap up here. Advice on how to find solutions about problematics and also how to stop to see your supervisor's person more powerful and without afraid. Okay, you know what? We should bring that up into our next session here. So I think a big part, this is outside of interview, I feel, but it is a lot of it a mindset thing of how you see yourself, how to find solutions to problems. This is a lot of changing perspectives. I know Melody can answer a lot of this because I know this is her space of if you tend to see yourself, things don't work out or the challenges and problems, really a big part is going to shifting perspective, asking yourself, what's another perspective I can be in to see possibilities and solutions there. Okay. I feel like this is a whole other talk that we can definitely talk about. Okay. The piece around seeing your supervisor more powerful. I feel like a big part is because I've encountered this younger in my career of feeling, let's say, intimidated or I have a trouble speaking up. And a big part is believing that your voice matters, believing that you have something valuable to say there. Okay. We can dive more into that next week there. Okay. Okay. Awesome. So that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed this training. Thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you next week. All right. You take care. Bye now.